Hello, Ron.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to, I guess, a new thing that we're doing. Some sort
We're
of
talking about D&D.
talk about D&D because we both love D&D.
We do.
I
For very different reasons.
yes, I DM.
You like the power tripping aspect of
Yes,
D&D.
I love making everyone miserable, and you
Yeah.
love
I love being
finding.
miserable.
Yeah, you love being miserable. So we're
Yeah.
gonna go through. I think every time like a UA comes out, or if we have any topic we want to discuss, we'll probably make one of these just to have a
Yeah.
conversation about Dungeons and Dragons and
Especially if I have interesting things to say about
yeah,
it, I suppose.
have a conversation about Dungeons and Dragons. Get comments from you guys as well. What you think of this stuff. Going to start off with the first Unearthed Arcana of 2020. Some
Yeah.
subclasses.
Now you actually
And
bring it up.
yes, this video we're going to discuss the Barbarian subclass, Path of the Beast.
Path of the Beast. We've
So
both played Barbarians,
we
so
have both
we're
played
actually
Barbarians. Yes, I have played
we're
a
Berserker.
not berserk. What are they called? They're called berserkers.
They're called Berserkers, yeah. The frenzy ones, they're called
Yeah, Frenzy
Berserkers.
Boys. I've played a Frenzy Boy. You've played a
I've played two. I've played a Totemor and a Zella. I actually really
ah
like Barbarians. They
yes,
are a good class,
yes.
or a fun class.
Yeah, most of this, Chad is much more kind of down with the theory crafting and knowing what's good and what's not more than I am. I'm more just like, how can I make a cool character out of this,
Hmm.
regardless of whether it's mechanically good or not. And I think
Sure.
Chad is a little bit as well, but Chad is definitely more leaning towards
Well,
the side of actually like being good at
yeah,
the
like
numbers.
I I like subclasses when they bring like an interesting flavor into the game, and then if the mechanics actually support that flavor. But then like as long as the mechanics are actually allow you to play that way and still be effective. A lot of subclasses do come out where it's like there's pretty much no reason you would play this, even if you wanted to play it for the flavor. It's like
Hmm.
you cripple yourself by doing it, kind of. I guess. I don't know. It depends what the rest of the group is doing, right?
Yeah, yeah, indeed. So yeah, let's start with
You,
Path. Oops, sorry.
you, you want to feel incentivized that the flavorful things that you're doing are actually like being useful in the game as well,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, you don't want to feel like you're
That's,
doing something
that's how I
flavorful
think
just
about
for the sake of flavor, and then kind of it's not actually. Well, I,
it.
I
Yeah,
guess it depends what kind of game you run, right? If you're actually very much
it
like
does depend.
if the DM is very much someone who, if you do something flavorful, will actually kind of always respond to that. I guess it works, but then a lot of these things are more for combat, or like specific rules for NPC interactions, like specifically getting advantage or disadvantage on like persuasion checks or something.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so Path of the Beast. Variants to walk the Path of Beast, draw. Path of Beast. I don't know if that's supposed to be Path of the Beast. Draw the rage from beast or spark burning within their souls. That beast howls to be released and bursts forth in the throes of rage. Those who tread this path might be inhabited by primal spirits descended from shapeshifters. You can choose the origin or choose one of these four. So you can either be one of your parents is a lycanthrope and you've inherited the curse. You descended from a legendary druid. A fey spirit gifted you with the ability, or an ancient animal spirit dwells within you. So they're the four that the wizards of the
They
coast are kind of
recommend.
giving the
Yeah,
recommended those kind of
I,
ideas.
I quite like that actually because a lot of subclasses will, or the classes in general, especially in the flavor, they might say maybe this is the reason why you got something, or maybe this other thing is the reason. To actually like break it down, these are the official origins of how this might happen. It's
Mm.
interesting. It kind of gives you like, and there are four pretty distinct things as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, you could even come up with your own, like just off the top of my head, like
Oh
you were
yeah, for
raised by
sure.
wolves or something. There you go. That's another one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd go
But
for
yeah,
that.
it's nice for them to actually give you like something to go off and go. Okay, one of your parents is a lycanthrope. What does that mean? Which parent? Like, how did they get the curse? Like,
Yeah,
how were they? Would they like? Were they trying to raise you, but the lycanthropy forced them away? Did they just get rid of you to save you? Did they get rid of you because they don't care about you? There's lots you can do with just one. You know,
hmm.
it's kind of it's nice that they give you that jumping off point.
This is probably going to be a long video because I think we both got a lot to say in general.
Yes,
Um,
we
but
both like to talk.
uh, interesting thing about the subclasses of like certain classes versus certain other ones, like the cleric, all of their subclasses are like a really specific thing, right? They're like the order that you follow, the like the thing that you worship, the domain that you
Hmm.
worship. Sorry, and the paladin is obviously the order that you follow. But like other classes, it's not so distinct as what the subclass is really supposed to be. Like rogue, for example, it's kind of just like reflavorings. I don't really know how to describe it, like how it
Yeah,
acts differently from those other things. But especially with a lot of the wizard ones as well, at least the PHP wizard ones, which are all you are focused to this spell school, and clerics are you are focused to this domain. Order is you have these tenants,
hmm
all that sort of thing. But like really, for a lot of the other classes, it seems that you can just kind of write anything. They don't really need to be something specific. Sorcerer's Origin is another one, which is specifically this is how you got your powers. Um, and it's like really heavily tied to the class. These ones, it just feels like you can kind of you can put anything in there,
yeah.
really.
I mean, even within cleric, like Forge cleric, which is something I've played. And I've got one in the campaign we're playing that I'm DMing. Are both very similar. They're both dwarves who are blacksmiths who have a forge god. But I'm sure you could still probably come up with other stuff if you were more creative than me and actually had time to actually. If I sat down and thought about it, I could probably come up with something around a forge cleric, which
Yeah.
wasn't just a blacksmith. It might be quite difficult, but then storm clerics are more broad trickster clerics. You can actually be more broad with them. There are certain
Yeah.
ones where you are kind of. It's a lot more difficult to break that expectation of what the subclass gives you. And unlike this one, which is kind of like think of a way that you would be like a beast, and that's kind of it. And then there's quite a lot you can do with that. They've given you 4 very distinct ones, and then, the point I think you're trying to make, or that I'm getting from you, is basically like some subclasses are very much like there's not much leeway with what you can do with it.
Well, I think less about the subclasses as individual things, but more about how the class interacts with their subclass. I think a lot of them, like, it really does. Like, if you're going to make a new subclass for a sorcerer, it is an origin, and this is supposed to explain how you got your powers in the first place. If you're doing a subclass for a warlock, it's their patron. You need to describe their relationship with their patron. If you're doing one for a barbarian, there's not like a common theme between each of the barbarian subclasses. Like,
Yeah, that's
they
true.
don't all explain the same thing. It's like you have some additional power, and they're explained in different ways. I think again, rogue is quite a similar thing. It's just like you're talented in some way as a rogue,
Yeah.
and
Where do your talents lie? Do they talent?
where do your talents? Yeah,
Are you talented as a swashbuckler where you can kind of do one-on-one combat, or are you talented as an assassin where you're a sneaky in and out?
but they are so all unrelated to one another. I feel like for a lot of the classes, and I think barbarian's kind of one of those as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
but-
this is a video about Path of the Beast, not about
yes,
subclasses
about
in general. First thing here, 3rd level. When I believe you get features at 3rd level. Yes, 3rd level
Yes.
Barbarian. Yeah. Form of the Beast. When you enter a rage, you can transform, revealing the bestial power within you. Till your rage ends, you can manifest a natural weapon, choosing one of the following. Each time you rage, either bite. Your bite deals 1d8 piercing. On each turn, you can damage creature with your bite. You regain a number of hit points, so it's lifesteal. Claws. 1d6 slashing damage. When you take the attack action, you can attack with your claws. You can make one additional attack, so it's basically an extra attack with slightly lower weapon. Or you have a reach tail. You grow a lashing spiny tail, which deals 1d12 piercing damage on hit and has a reach property, so 10 foot range. Or is reach 5 foot beyond your natural range? Is that reach, or is it just 10 foot?
Yeah, I think it is. I think reach is just 10 foot by default.
Cool.
I think. Yeah, I don't know if any races do have like 10 foot by default.
Bugbears, because they have
They
that.
don't have 10 foot by default. They get to add 5 foot when they make an attack.
Okay.
So like their opportunity attacks don't have reach automatically. But I don't think it says you have reach. I think it says you
All right.
have 5 foot increase. I think reach by default just means 10 foot
All right. Fair enough.
for players at least. So the 3rd level feature is always like pretty significant for barbarians. It's not always really significant for every other class, but just some comparisons for what we're expecting. The zealot gives you 1d6 plus half your barbarian level on one attack per turn, so like a decent amount of damage per turn. The totem warrior, that's the one that gives you like half damage from all sources if you go for bear,
Yeah.
or like 15-foot increased movement speed if you go for elk, or advantage on I think your friends have advantage on melee attacks if you're like within 5 foot of them. It's like the pack tactics that wolves get.
Yeah. So. Yeah, some of the barbarian ones are very strong. Like bear barbarian is ridiculous.
And the bonus action attack for the berserker.
Yes.
So really like big power spiky things. But like you would expect this to be like a really significant feature to get.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of it?
I think it looks pretty good. Like I said, I'm not more into the kind of knowing this kind of thing, but being able to basically every time you rage, um, looks like with the bites you basically get the opportunity to get some health back. That's kind of I need some health. When I rage, I'll bite to get some health back. Claws is just if you want to do some extra attacks. The tail one is quite interesting because it's kind of
The tail's the simplest one.
it's the simplest one. It allows you to have a bit of reach if you don't have it anyway. But I guess the thing is, it's like, are you going to use this or are you going to use a weapon? I guess that's the
Yeah,
thing
that's the
decide,
main
right?
thing, and it is really difficult with it's something they don't do very often, but natural weapons, I feel like they never really work out that well.
Hmm.
Things like the Minotaur, for example, got a D6 natural weapon. When are you really ever going to use it for the most part? I think it might have a feature where like once you charge at someone, you also get a bonus action attack to attack with your natural weapon. But yeah, for the most part, I don't really think natural weapons get used just because your actual weapon is almost always going to be better. So if you're introducing it into a subclass thing, it has to compete with that. And that's quite a difficult thing to do because like it's when someone's attacking, they're just usually just kind of want to do the most damage, you know.
Hmm.
And I think they have done a good job with because they haven't just made it about damage here. Each of the three things has an additional feature other than the damage that they deal.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess the thing with I'm looking at with claws is like you'd probably have as a barbarian a weapon that does 2d6 damage, right? Or 1d12.
yeah, so I think that's the default that we're assuming, right? We're assuming you either have 2d6 or 1d12. The 2d6 is generally better, but I think 1d12 it's pretty close. But if we assume that you have a 2d6 weapon, when are you ever going to use these instead of it?
Yeah.
It's the question.
I guess with tail, it's if you need that reach, and I guess the other thing as well, you could be a barbarian that has using a shield. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And I think you would use a shield with all of these because none of them require two hands. And if you do use a shield, all of them are actually pretty competitive with the 2d6 weapon, damage output wise. So it's basically like being able to have a 2d6 weapon with a shield, almost. It's close. The tail, I think, is the easiest one to analyze. The tail is just an objective upgrade over any of the reach weapons. All of the reach weapons are 1d10, so a 1d12 reach weapon is good.
Mhm.
And you can use a shield with it. That's like pretty great. You could just build your entire thing around that, I think.
Yeah. Two shields.
Although I think a lot of people who use the reach weapons do use Polearm Master, just for the bonus action attack.
Hmm.
Two shields though. Yeah, I want to use two shields.
Yeah. They don't get the bonus it for it.
Of course, barbarians can use shields with their unarmored defense, unlike monks, I think, who can't use a shield.
Yeah. Can't
I
punch
could
with
be
a
wrong
shield.
about that actually. Can't punch with a shield.
Can they even
obviously.
use shields at all, monks?
I don't think they can use shields, but I think also even if they multi-class into something that can use shields, I think their unarmored defense does say you can use shield.
Right.
But barbarians can, so
Yeah.
so that's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think first of all, like if you want to make this work, you're probably going to use a shield with it, and that's like really good. Plus 2 AC to do fairly similar damage to what you would have been doing otherwise. If you just considered this to be a plus 2 DC, plus 2 AC subclass feature, I think that's like pretty competitive with everything else that's on there to begin with.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best one though? When would you go for what?
I think if you have a shield, claws is pretty good just to get extra attacks. Like doing 2c6 over what would be, I guess 1d8 is probably the most you'd do with a one-handed weapon. Otherwise,
1d8.
I don't know, 1d8. I think.
Or it's 1d8 with like a longsword, and you get two attacks, right? So you're doing
Not
3d6
until-
instead of 2d8.
Yeah,
well, we're assuming like by level 5, like it's not too far.
Yeah, I suppose.
When
Yeah,
you
but
get this feature,
yeah, that's
this
true.
is better than a.
Yeah,
but,
well,
like-
I think early levels you'd probably the claws are good until you get two attacks.
Yeah.
But then it says like when you take the attack action and on your turn and make an attack with claws, so you can do sword and claws. So right, so you can get 3 attacks.
You could do sword, claw. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So
make the attack on your turn and make an attack with the claws. Yeah, you could. Although, I still think the shield is better than a 1d8 instead of a 1d6. Because that's basically 1 damage extra on average if you use the longsword and then the claw and then a claw. Either that, or you drop your longsword every turn.
Well, no, you can use longsword one-handed.
Yeah, but you have a shield in one hand and a longsword in the other hand. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Unless your claws are coming out your face. Yeah.
unless your claws are coming out your face.
Just have 4 arms.
That's a good point.
Easy.
Should just consider having 4 arms.
Yeah.
The claws are actually pretty good, and the claws do come close to I don't know what, like 100% what the math is on like more attacks versus more attacks that do less damage versus fewer attacks that do more damage. I feel like it's more opportunities to crit, and when you get like the bonus criticals as a barbarian, this ends up being better because you're getting more dice overall. This is 3. Let's imagine you had 3 attacks and all 3 crit, and you're getting an extra 2 dice on each of those eventually. You end up doing 9d6 as opposed to with your 2d6 weapon, you're doing 8d6. And then you're also getting your strength modifier more often as well.
Yeah.
So these work out pretty well because like one of them is based on your con mod and one of them is based on essentially getting your strength mod again instead of at the sacrifice of a dice. The higher your strength and con are, these two things are much better.
They don't specifically say 1d6 plus.
It's
strength,
an
is that
attack
just implied?
that deals 1d6. It's implied, yeah.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure there wasn't any sort of like hidden. Fuck you don't get your strength kind of thing.
Yeah, you manifest a natural melee weapon. So it's a natural melee weapon that does 1d6. So it follows the same rules as any other melee weapon.
That's fine.
It would specify if you didn't, I think.
Yeah.
I'm kind of not sure when you choose claws versus when you choose tail. I think claws is better overall, especially with a higher strength mod. And as you get like the bonus critical stuff as you level up, claws continues to be better. But like, when do you choose reach? Because you're doing this when you rage, right?
Yeah, so this is going to be when you start combat, you're going to make the decision which of these do you want for this combat.
Yeah.
Flying enemies would use tail, just so you have that extra little bit of...
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing to say.
Yeah, and bite is the one which I think you would go for if you were low on health.
Yeah, the bite one is weird. So like, again, we're comparing this to a 2d6. So you're dealing 1d8 instead of 2d6. So what's that on average? Like 4.5 versus 7?
Yeah.
So a 2.5 damage difference to be able to heal for your con mod. I think it's fairly a reasonable person. You might have a 3 con mod by the time you get this. I think 3 strength and 3 con are what you aim for as a barbarian.
Yeah.
Initially. So at the cost of 2.5 damage, you're doing 3 healing. It brings up an interesting thing, like what's more important, dealing damage to someone or healing yourself?
I guess it depends what kind of role you're playing in the party, right? Well, I think this is more like, let's say you are in the middle of a dungeon and you can't rest, but you have low health, but you really need to carry on. This will at least mitigate one of the combats upcoming, because you can at least mitigate some of the damage you're taking, which at least means you're not super low for like maybe a final encounter.
Sure.
I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, it's
you're also
ones where like if you
just slowing down the rate at which you kill someone as well.
Yeah, if you just kill them quicker, you take less damage. So where's the
line between? Yeah, I think I think healing is better than damage, and I think if they are exactly the same number, I think healing is always better than damage in D&D. But healing is never the same number, right? Like cure wounds is way less healing than inflict wounds.
Yes.
Just out of the box. Healing is usually like a free thing where you don't need to risk an attack. So like it does come at that cost. You have to hit the attack to get this to work, but you need to hit the attack anyway to deal the damage, and that's the same roll.
Yeah.
But I think on average, players probably take less damage than they deal in a combat. I think that's... I don't know the exact numbers on that, but that's my feeling from playing D&D, is that we deal more damage than we heal. Than we take, rather. So you would assume that healing would be better than dealing damage.
Yeah.
If it's exactly the same amount. Also, the Barbarian is usually taking half damage anyway. So it's almost as if that amount of healing is doubled. Like, I don't know if you can quite say that, but it
depends on the damage
you
you're
get what I'm saying, right? Yeah, like if you've got a 5 con mod, like by level, let's say like 8 or something like that, you might have a 5 con mod. Maybe if you're lucky. A healing for 5 once a turn is not that insignificant. Because that's essentially like 10 damage as a barbarian, because you're usually taking half damage.
Yeah.
Trouble is, it only happens once per turn. So once he gets the extra attack, this is just a longsword.
I guess this is the one you would use Because you can have a two-handed weapon with this, right? Or a longsword and a
You
shield.
can always have a two-handed weapon with this, yeah. The bite is the one I'm comparing to the two-handed weapon the most, I guess. But yeah, for most of these, I still think you're better for the shield. Like, if you were to compare it to using a shield and a longsword, the bite is just objectively better because it's like a little bit of extra healing every turn.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't necessarily hit twice per turn. As long as you hit once, you're getting that healing, which is good. And it does get better as your con mod gets better as well. But because the dice never get better is the thing, right? When you're comparing directly to weapons, a 2d6 is still a 2d6 at level 1 and level 20, but your actual modifiers go up, and this is based on obviously your strength modifier when you're hitting. So the dice comparatively deals less damage as you're leveling up, and then the con mod, which also goes up as well. Yeah. It's my issue with it, I think, is Barbarians do have a high health pool, so there's a good chance that you will be not on full health and can make use of this, right? But you only have a certain number of rages per day, and the first time you rage, you're definitely not using this because you're probably at full health, right?
Yes, that's true.
My issue playing a Barbarian is when I've run out of rages. That's when I need healing.
Yes.
When I run out of rages and the clerics run out of spell slots, I'm not taking half damage anymore. And when that's happening, you probably want to shield out.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like the time this is most useful is kind of past the point that you've already.
Yeah, this is something you'd have to prepare for, right? You'd have to think. Yeah. It would be something you have to think. I'm in a dungeon. All right, one of these combats I'm not going to rage, to then use the bite later to heal, which kind of... I guess it's one of those things where you're trying to mitigate your cleric or your bard running out of spells, right?
You can definitely... There is a situation that'll come up where it's useful. You get rages back on a long rest, right? So I'm pretty sure you do as a Barbarian.
Yes, that's the problem.
So it's an interesting thing to look at. Overall, I think like you can do similar damage to a weapon with all of these things. Again, the tail is like 1d12 is worse than 2d6, but it's pretty comparable. So that's basically just getting reach. The claws is again, as you level up more, it does end up being probably a little bit more damage than 2d6. Plus, you can wear a shield, and then but you don't want it to just be better than the default weapon. You want it to be significantly better because this is your class feature. You want it to give you a big advantage, right?
Yeah.
I guess the variety there is good. But as soon as you start hitting like a +2 weapon, I think these fall off.
Yeah, which I guess it's not. Well, the thing is, some of the other ones don't fall off. Like the bear totem does not fall off. That's always good. That's always good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
until you start fighting exclusively psychic enemies.
Yeah, that's true.
But it does. Well, as I said, these do become better than the default weapons because they're all based on like getting extra strength and con mod, which does increase as you go on. But then again, the default weapons increase as you go on if you're getting +2s. So this does get buffed. We might want to skip to the level 10 feature just to discuss that while we're on the topic.
Sure. It's natural weapons. So we're going to skip over Bestial Soul just briefly because we've got Infectious Fury. When you hit a creature with your natural weapons, so that's the weapons that you would get from Form of the Beast, the spirit within, you can curse the target with a Rabid Fury. The target must receive a Wisdom saving throw of 8 plus your con plus your prof, so you possibly high con anyway for that above just to make this better, or suffer one of the following effects, your choice. So one of these two. The target must use its reaction to make a melee attack against another creature of your choice that you can see, or the target takes 2d12 psychic damage. You use this feature a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Yeah, so we're assuming by level 10 you're probably 5 con. I think that's pretty reasonable to assume. Also, you got to remember at level 20, you've got 7 con plus 7 con. So like that's pretty significant. At level 20, this is a DC 19. At level 10, when you get at level 20, it's a DC 21 actually, which is quite high. Wisdom saving throw wisdom's like a pretty common one though.
Yes.
But I think at level 10 when you get this, it's probably a DC 17. That's not too bad. You can use it 5 times. I'm not sure how often you're going to want something to make a melee attack against another creature.
I guess it depends what it is, right? Like if it's something like that does a beefy attack. If it does more than 2d12, basically, I guess is the idea.
But also the 2d12 is like guaranteed once the con save has failed, as opposed to the other thing, which also requires a hit.
Yes.
So there are specific situations, but most of the time I'd probably just take the guaranteed 2d12.
Yeah, because that's a lot of damage.
That is an average of 12. That is a lot of damage. You don't really get that much damage added very often. At level 10, the Zealot is getting like d6 plus 5 every turn, so like 8.5 damage extra per turn by default. And you're probably getting a lot less than that from your natural weapons by default per turn. But how many turns? What do you get when you finish a long rest? Yeah, 5 times per day. If you think about like your claws, for example, you can burst this pretty hard if you're doing 3 attacks in one turn, and if all of them hit and you're doing an extra 6d12, that's
This is just like you would if you were doing this, you would pump these all into one, right, to try and burst someone down.
Probably to try and make the combat go a lot faster, like you're smiting with the paladin, right?
And I guess also this would this get affected by brutal critical, or does it not? Or is that only weapon attacks?
It is the weapon damage that is affected by brutal critical.
Yeah, so this
critical.
won't.
I don't think it includes sneak attack, and I don't think it includes smite, so I wouldn't include this with it.
Yeah. I could see this. The target must use its reaction being useful if you want to then run, because it's lost its reaction.
That's
people
true.
can use it, and then you can leave, and they can't use an opportunity attack, right? So you can force it to use its reaction, whether it hits or misses. You forced it to use its reaction, right?
Yeah.
So that's the time you would use that. But I see with the claws,
that's a good defensive ability there. Actually, yeah.
With the claws, three claw attacks plus 60-12 on top of that, which would be that's 3d6 plus your strength plus 60-12. Any crits obviously bump it.
Double the damage of this if you do crit. Obviously, you don't get the brutal critical, but you do get your regular critical damage doubled on this. So it can be a lot of damage. It is only 5 times per day though. It depends how often you're fighting, I suppose.
Yeah, depends how often you're fighting. It depends. This again, like you say, this could be definitely a useful burst thing, or just a pocket. Like we need to a pocket. This guy only gets hurt by psychic damage. Bam, just give it a bit of extra oomph. Or we need to flee, force it to use a reaction. Could also then actually kill someone else on the enemy, which is also useful. But I like it. I think that many times on a long rest is probably okay. You just have to be careful with it, right?
Yeah, I think overall, like it's difficult to say. I think you kind of need to. You can look at the numbers, but I think you also need to practice with this and just see like how it really works out. Like I think this does scrape above using a weapon. Like maybe not scrape above. It is better than using a weapon usually, especially if you do use a shield as well, because plus 2 AC is a huge amount. Like Barbarians can get those magic bracers that give you plus 2 AC if you don't have a shield.
You can always
I think it's like a common
plus X shields if you use that. I don't know if
you can get plus 8 shields. That's true, which you can't get on the bracers. So like, if you consider like you would have been, if you're trying to compare this to a plus 2, getting a plus 2 weapon, you could have got a plus 2 shield instead, right? I think a plus 2 shield is rarer than a plus 2 weapon, but kind of think of these as magic weapons that you get right off the bat, but instead of giving you plus 2 to attack and damage, they give you plus 2 to AC. Like that's almost what you can think of them as, which is like really good. That's like getting a plus 2 weapon at level 3 almost.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's an apt comparison, but yeah, it's definitely better than using a weapon. But I don't know if it quite holds up to what the other classes give you.
Yeah.
But I still think it's fine. I think it's all right.
Should pop back to Beast
the
of
other
Soul.
features? Yeah.
The 6th level one, feral spirit within you grows in power, causing the natural weapons of your form of the beast to count as magical, which is nice.
Yep,
so
which is
natural weapons are magical.
Happen,
You can also call on the feral spirit to help you adapt to your surroundings. When you finish a short or long rest, choose one of the following benefits, which lasts until you finish another short or finish long rest.
Yeah.
You gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed, and you can breathe on the water. You gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, and you can climb difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings, without needing to make an ability check. Or when you jump, you can make a strength athletics check to extend your jump by a number of feet equal to the check's total. You can make this special check only once per turn.
Should we talk about the bad one first?
Sure, go on.
Who fucking jumps?
I've
had jumping come out once.
Yeah.
In a campaign that lasted to level 9 with a ring of jumping that arrived very early.
Yeah.
We did one jump.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely more for like you got to cross a river.
Yeah.
Every foot you clear,
there was another feature here that helped you cross a river.
Every foot you clear of the jump costs a foot of your movement on the current turn. When you and this is the other thing. Like, what things would you jump? A river, all right, where you can swim. A gorge where you can just jump onto the other wall and climb it without a problem. A gaping void. You're in the wrong place if you're seeing a gaping void. Maybe turn away.
And jumping is something the barbarians are generally good at already anyway, because it is a strength. It's an athletics-based thing, right? And every barbarian is going to take athletics.
Yeah,
it's a strength athletics check to jump it. Actually, the jumping rules are weird. I think you just jump by a certain distance by default. You don't need to make a check. But
yeah.
you can be
It's like
if the circumstances
something times your strength modifier.
This also isn't something you do in combat. So this is like an extra. Let's assume you're proficient in athletics. You're level 6 when you get this, so that's +3. Let's assume you've got 5 strength. Maybe you don't have it by this point, or you might have it later. That's a +8. So you're doing like an average of 18 extra feet. That's not insignificant.
I guess if you need to jump over a floor-based...
This also lets you jump higher, so not just further. And I think jumping higher is usually half. So if you can jump higher and then add 18 to it on top of that as well. That's a pretty high jump you can make. Yeah, but then again, just climb.
Yeah.
I feel like that's usually better anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This one, I think...
I've never come across a situation where jumping is that important.
This one, I think, is if you got on a battlefield where some of the floor has acid on it or something, and you want to reach a dude, but you got to either walk around or jump across, and this is basically just going to be a guaranteed you get across. But you choose it at the start of a short or long rest.
Yeah.
You're probably going to choose either climb or swim, depending on where you are, right? I guess that's the thing. Like, if you're in a building, you're going to choose climb because it allows you to climb on fucking ceilings.
And if you're anywhere near water,
you choose swimming speed.
Because... What situation are you in where you're taking a short rest where you think I should take the jump one? Like, unless you've come across a situation earlier that day that required extra jumping that you managed to fail, and you think, oh, we'll come back to that after a short rest. I don't see a situation in any environment where you take the jumping one.
You are in a field.
Yeah.
And there is a very, very large hole. Yeah. With no walls because the texture didn't load. You take a short rest before the jump. You jump across, and then you take another short rest to get rid of it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I just don't see why you'd take jump. Climbing speed and being able to climb on ceilings is incredible. Inside a temple is that's very silly.
I mean, Totem Barbarian also has like Tiger, which gives you extra feet to your jump distance. 10 feet to your long jump distance and 3 feet to your high jump distance. So if you kind of compare that, like, that's a big difference, 10 feet long versus 3 feet high. And this just adds it to both. So you can jump a lot higher with this. But again, like, why are you going to choose that? Well, also, why would you ever choose Tiger instead of at least bear? Yeah. You know, or wolf or elk. Yeah. I don't know, maybe eagle as well.
It's jumping up that I think this would be useful for. And I can't think of
many situations where climbing wouldn't just be better anyway. Yeah, because
this is you're doing a strength check to extend your jump, or your just climbing speed is going to be massive anyway. Because bear in mind, your jump takes away from your movement
in combat.
So
you cannot move further than you're jumping.
Yeah,
or you cannot jump further than you can move even. So it doesn't matter if you can jump an extra 20 feet when you're limited by your movement anyway.
But ignoring this one, the other two.
Yeah, the other two are good.
Yes.
What do you think is the better one?
I guess it depends where you are. I think climbing is always really good.
Where you are. I think climbing is the better. Climbing in general in D&D is like absolute, especially like if you can hang up on the ceiling, that is absolutely incredible for a caster or a ranger. I don't think it's that good for a barbarian, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, just from a flavor standpoint, imagine you've got real beast claws you've dug into the ceiling, and you just drop down on someone. Everyone else is going to flee away from you because this massive, like, hulked up dude with beast claws has just jumped on one of your dudes and ripped him to shreds from the ceiling. Yeah. And you briefly look up to find that he basically walked on the ceiling to do it. And you're like, holy crap, let's get out of here.
It's definitely good, for sure. I think being able to climb up a wall or on the ceiling, if you're like a wizard, for example, like spider climb, I think is a thing they get, or shoes of spider climb or whatever they are. Spider slippers. Those are really good just because it keeps you out of the way of melee.
Yeah.
When you're a class that doesn't want to be hit by melee. As a barbarian, you're like the only class that does want to be hit because if you didn't attack on your turn, then at least lets you keep your rage. But you're gonna be in melee anyway. It's good if you're fighting flying stuff as well. I guess it can sometimes you might be able to use wolves and a ceiling to your advantage from fighting flying stuff. It's definitely not bad, but I don't think it's nearly as good as it would be for a lot of other classes. But it's still good.
It's still good.
I think it's probably the default one you go for, unless there is water around.
Yeah, if you're on a boat, I mean,
if you're on a boat, you always stay the water.
Yeah.
And swim speed's all right, but it doesn't.
And the fact you breathe under the water, that's also very good.
Yeah.
Because it does allow you to then think, okay, we need to explore underwater. We need to find there's a chest underwater or something. I can just take a short rest, and I'll be able to hold my breath underwater, and then that's fine. But again, spells that allow you to do that kind of thing.
It's also like a good stealthy thing as well, being underwater, right?
Yeah, I mean, even the climbing one's very good for stealth, right? It's like, the barbarian's making a lot of noise, but where is he? Oh, he's just...
I think I would give advantage on a stealth check you're making using either of these features if they're relevant,
Yeah.
How many times have water things really come up in our campaigns? I know it came up in Dave's campaign but we had a ring of water breathing. We had a small underwater side quest.
I always try not to put too much water in because it just kind of screws over people with heavy armor or any armor at all. Because it's basically just if you fall in the water, you're dead.
Yeah,
which is it's kind of lame. You get a lot of boat action, but you just
I guess boats come up quite often.
Yeah, it's just one of the things that I wonder if it's because
there's always a fight on the boat.
I wonder if it's because we don't do it, that people just don't prepare for water. So I wonder if we started actually, you kick someone in, they actually do drown. People would actually be like, okay, we're going on a boat, we need to go buy water breathing potions.
Yeah.
Just in case. I guess it's one of those things that people don't prepare. People may prepare for it if they have the expectation that their DM will do stuff like that. Which is fine. I think if your DM does that, it's absolutely fine, because at the end of the day, if you jumped onto a boat to attack it and there was a dude in armor next to the edge, you'd probably kick him over, and he'd die. Which is lame, obviously, when you lose your cleric or whatever suddenly because you stood too close to an edge and drowned. It's a bit lame, but maybe don't stand close to the edge, and maybe next time bring a water breathing potion. I guess that's the kind of thing you got to think about.
Yeah. I mean, I think I discussed as well, being an artificer. I was playing back when Battlesmith had armor proficiency stuff as well. They could create armor stuff quicker. Mariner's armor is one of the easiest things you can make out of those things, and that's a situation where if you know ahead of time, you might prepare and make a set of Mariner's armor for someone. They're all right. This is a good thing to have, but I don't think it comes up that often.
No, it's a nice to have. I don't think it's bad, and the fact that it also gives you your natural weapons a magic is also nice.
I think it is probably worse than what most of the other subclasses get at this level. Maybe other than aspect of the beast for barbarians, which is double carrying capacity for the bear, or you can see up to a mile away as an eagle. Stuff like that, right? Some extra proficiencies and things. The other ones do get some significant things that are Zealot is a really strong class anyway. It's one of the strongest subclasses. They can reroll a saving throw once per day.
Yeah.
And Berserker cannot be charmed or frightened while enraged. I think I saw a fix. I don't know if I mentioned to you a fix for Berserker Barbarian, which was you don't suffer the effects of exhaustion while you're raging, which would really fix the subclass, I think.
Yes. Yeah, that was the main thing. It's you use that and then you just oh, I'm exhausted. I can't do it again. It's really.
It's I have one rage per day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good.
Instead of 3.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think people are very aware of that problem.
Yeah. Should we move on to the final one here? Call of the Hunt. Call the Hunt, not Call of the Hunt. Just Call the Hunt.
Yeah.
Call it over. All right, Hunt, come here.
Yeah.
The beast within grows so powerful that you can spread its ferocity to your allies. When you enter your rage, you choose a number of willing creatures you can see within 30 feet of you, equal to your con modifier. Till your rage ends, the chosen creatures gain the reckless attack feature and have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. You also gain 5 temporary hit points for each creature that accepts the benefits. You use this feature a number of times, equal to your constitution modifier, and you regain all uses when you finish a long rest.
You're going to probably use this every time you rage.
Oh, yeah. It's basically a free... Our party is usually 5 people. It's a free 20 hit points, and everyone gets reckless attack, which is useful for pretty much at least all melee classes.
It's not that useful for all melee classes. It's not useful for rogues. It's not useful for... It's specifically strength-based melee attacks that it works on, so it's not useful for rogues or monks or dex-based fighters. or rangers if they are melee, because they're probably using dex as well.
Hmm.
It's useful for paladins, I guess, and useful for rangers, not rangers, fighters, strength-based fighters. Other than that, other barbarians, if you have more barbarian in the part, I don't think you do usually. It's I think giving reckless attack to other people isn't that great. I think for the most part, you're probably going to have one other person who can make use of it, which is probably a fighter or paladin in the party.
Right.
I have not seen a party where you have a fighter, paladin, and barbarian. That's a little much, right?
Depends how big the party is, right?
If I will say, if the rogue has a good enough strength, they can use this, because you can use sneak attack has to be used with a finesse weapon, but you can use strength with a finesse weapon. So you can use strength with your rapier to get advantage, so you can auto sneak attack. But is it really a problem?
By the time you're 14th level as a rogue, you've probably got a way of doing it.
Yeah. Plus, you've got a barbarian in your party anyway, so you're getting sneak attack usually, even if you don't have the advantage. So I don't see it being a big deal. Also, you don't want to give other people advantage when you're a rogue, or a monk for that, or maybe not for the monk.
Really,
but
anyone. You don't
not really. A barbarian can afford to do it because they should have decent AC. Maybe not quite. It depends on their stats. Maybe not quite.
And obviously they're going to be
taking half damage.
Taking half damage, and apparently also gaining 5 hit points for each creature that's susceptible to
energy. Yeah. So really, the main benefit is the extra HP. I think you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. Seems terrible to me. I don't know why they tacked this on, and why they don't give it to everyone. They give it to the barbarian, a 15th level feature that makes you immune to being frightened. Bear in mind.
Sorry, I read that as everyone gains reckless attack and everyone gains advantage.
That might be the intention. That might be a misreading. But you gain advantage on saving throws against being frightened. It's a 14th level feature when you rage, and not every time you rage, but specific times when you choose to rage, compared to the 6th level feature of Berserker that makes you immune to charmed and frightened while you're raging.
Mm-hmm.
Getting advantage on saving throws against being frightened is just not that great. Paladins get an aura that makes you immune to being frightened as well. Aura of Courage at level 10.
I feel like this has got to be everyone who accepts the benefit gains this, surely.
I think that is how I would run it, because I feel like that must be what their intention was. Otherwise, it's such a weird thing to put on there. It's not even an immunity. It's advantage on saving throws. You know?
Yeah, because what it is, it's spreading ferocity to the allies. Surely that would include, now they're more ferocious, they can do the reckless attack, and they are less.
It would be a lot better if that's what it was.
Yeah, that's how I would rule it. If someone would want
because, like I said, reckless attack isn't that great for. Yeah. You're probably only getting one of the person that actually benefits from it. But yeah, it's mostly temporary HP. So 5 temporary HP for each creature that gets this. And how many creatures can it be? Equal to your con mod. So if you have like NPCs in the party and stuff.
So up to 25, I guess.
Willing creatures. I wonder if the enemies would be willing. Probably not. They don't want to give you the extra 5 HP. But you could get up to 35 HP, right?
Yeah, level 20 if you got +7.
At level 20. Yeah, if you had the +7, you could get up to 35 HP, which is really significant. Well, is it that significant? How much HP does a barbarian on average have?
Yeah, but bear in mind, obviously, that HP is kind of almost double depending on what
that too. But still, like, barbarians do have the most HP.
They have a lot. They'll probably have, like, by level 20, they probably have over 200, right? Maybe even more than that.
Yeah. So what, you're going to have 7, especially by level 20, you're going to have, it's on average 7 per level, plus your 7 con per level as well. Times 19 plus 5 is 271 on average, I think.
Yeah.
Health. 35 on top of that. So 35 divided by 271. What percentage is that? 12% HP at the start.
Impossible to work out. I mean, 12% HP is not terrible, right?
That's not terrible. It's close to 13% actually. Yeah. It definitely isn't terrible.
And I mean, it's not like you have to give anything up to do this either, right? Like, it's just when you enter a rage, you can do this, and it's like you probably are going to do this because you. Why wouldn't you, right? Unless you don't need the HP, right? Because temporary HP don't stack. You use it once to gain it. You keep the temp HP.
Oh yeah, I guess
because it stays forever. It doesn't. There's no time limit on the temporary
until the end of a long rest. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd keep that, and then every time it goes short, you just bump it up again. And it's basically just
It also is based on when you rage, and you do still have a limited number of rages until like a lot later, right?
yeah.
Compared to what other classes get at this level, Zealot Barbarian gets the thing where going to 0 HP doesn't knock you unconscious, which is again Zealot Barbarian is a little strong.
You'll
So
not
that
say.
compared to that's
Is Zelda
crazy.
Barbarian the one that basically cannot die?
You cannot die.
Because it can rage forever and doesn't
unless
die.
you put them to sleep. I don't know why. I think I mentioned this to you before, but I was reading on the subreddit. People saying, "Oh yeah, these you can deal with a Zealot Barbarian easily. You just can't sleep on them." A level 9th sleep spell, doing the max amount of hit dice it can do, the max amount of like HP it can affect, is still like less than the average amount of HP that a barbarian has.
Yeah, I guess you got to get to
ninth
0. You
level.
got to get to 0, right, and then sleep it.
Oh, it's based on your remaining HP, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, oh, you're right, of course. I hadn't considered that.
You'd have to knock it to 0, then put him to sleep.
Then just cast a level 1 spell. Yeah,
But
that
then
works, I suppose.
I'm pretty sure you could just be like,
Unless they're an elf, because they can't be put to sleep.
oh, there you go. That's
Yeah.
the best thing ever. Or half elf. Do half elves do the same thing? Or is it just elves?
I'm not 100% sure.
I
Actually,
think it might just be elves, but I don't
it
know.
might just be elves.
Um,
Berserker get when you take damage from a creature, you can use a reaction to make another melee attack against it. It actually isn't that good. I think Berserker's a little underpowered, actually.
yeah, I found that playing one.
You can the Ancestral Guardian gets like some guardians that can reduce the amount of damage your allies take by 2d6 or something, which actually goes up to 46 eventually by 14th level, in fact. And at 14th level, they then reflect the damage as well. So an extra 46 damage per turn, probably. Which is like a 14 damage extra per turn.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Probably a bit in line with the Berserker one. So 35 HP versus 14 damage per turn. 35 damage HP for the entire combat versus 14 damage per turn. It's almost like 70 damage, obviously, because you're taking half.
Yeah. This is all magic.
I don't know. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's crazy. It's basically just the HP.
Yeah.
The reckless attack is really not that great. Again, maybe one person makes use of it. The frightened is, I mean, it's good. It's better than not having it, but it's also like it's almost a slap in the face to tag that on there at the end.
Yeah, I'm sure this is worded wrong, but I can't be. 100%.
I think it is too, and I would also give everyone else advantage on it.
Yeah.
If you've got a paladin in the party, though, if the paladin's a person making use of your reckless attack feature, then like nobody's really, everyone's immune to being frightened anyway. If they're within 30 feet of the paladin.
I guess this means you can go out of that range and still have that saving throw, right?
Yeah,
There's no range. Once this is cast, there's no range on it anymore.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
But
what do you think overall?
Yeah,
though?
I was about to ask you the same thing. Overall, I think I would play one of these.
I'd play one. Yeah, I think at lower level, especially at like 3rd level, when you
Yeah,
get
because
features,
this is something else you have to consider, right? Like, not many
one's getting
campaigns get to 10th. Very few get to 14th and beyond. Like,
And I've never played a campaign where I got a magic weapon. So,
so yeah, I mean, Call of the Hunt, yeah, might not be great, but you might not get to level 14. And the lower level stuff, the kind of 3rd to 10th level stuff on this is actually quite good.
yeah,
It's quite
decent.
interesting, and yeah, there's a lot you can do with it. Like, you know, Berserker Barbarian is, I guess, very simple. It's kind of broad but not very deep. You can have various different ways of being a Berserker Barbarian, but at the end of the day, you're just a big dude who hits things hard and gets mad. Like, this has a lot more potential nuance to it and a lot more options you can do.
Yeah, the options are different. You do have to make that decision at the start of combat. And maybe it would be cool if you got all 3 of these. Do you think that would be broken if you got all 3 of these at once? Where you could choose every turn what you used? It probably would be.
Yeah, I think this basically kind of it at least restricts you in the combat to doing the one thing that you have set out to do, rather than being able to basically like, oh, I can claw you for extra attacks. Oh, I've low and run, but I'll just bite you instead. Oh, you've flown away, I'll just stab you from 10 feet instead, or whatever. It's kind of just get a little bit.
I think the one thing that I didn't mention is the usefulness of having a free hand as well, because you can go shield and then have something in your other hand. If you're not using the claw one, you can have something in your other hand that isn't a weapon that could be useful. So like,
Second shield.
I don't really know, some kind of second shield, yeah, some kind of magic item maybe, or like a wand or something. Because you can use wands even if you aren't magic, right? don't think there's.
Yeah, but have you ever heard of a barbarian using a one outside
yeah,
of like memes?
I agree with you. But like, I think there's like some other stuff that you can probably make use of that you can
Oh,
hold in your other hand, which
swing
is
a
another
halfling
thing
around.
to consider. Yeah, I think it's something that doesn't come up very often, but like, if you're playing a barbarian, you got a sword in one hand and a shield in the other, and you fall off a cliff. How are you stopping yourself when you're making that deck save to like, or if you fall off a cliff and you want to like grab onto it and climb up it, you're gonna have to drop your weapon, right? Because you don't have any free hands to do it. And I don't think people really enforce that sort of ruling very often.
No, that's true. I think it's kind
Yeah,
of a given, right?
I think I think it's something that should matter, but I don't know. Yeah, this does definitely it scales with your early ASIs better. So the 3rd to 10th, I think it scales better than using a different weapon. And then later on, once you're getting like +3 weapons and stuff available to the party, maybe it doesn't quite hold up so much. But
Yeah.
I'd play this. I think. Yeah.
I think this would be quite good. I think it was quite interesting.
Cool.
It might not be
And
as strong
I do
later
like
as
the
some of the
flavor
others,
of it.
but there's a
Yeah,
lot of flavor.
I like the flavor of it. I think barbarians are just strong. Like you played a berserker barbarian, which is arguably one of the weaker subclasses, and you still like put out more damage than anyone else just because the core barbarian class is so strong anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't really
Um,
doing much else apart from I think it was mostly Great Weapon Master that actually did most of the damage.
That's true, I suppose. Yeah.
And being able, and reckless attack, which is again it's a base thing. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't frenzying because I got the Great Weapon Master hit anyway.
Oh, I guess that's something to consider. The 3 attacks with the claw synergize with reckless attack better. Getting advantage on more attacks is better than getting advantage on fewer attacks. I don't know. I don't know if it quite works the same way. Maybe it's the same.
Yeah.
But it is like more dice rolls altogether. Who knows? Anyway, yeah, I'd play it. I think. And how do you think the flavor? Do you think it does a good job of delivering on the flavor?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of interesting. I think there's a lot more when you get later on in terms of like the psychology side to it. Like the start is more the physical side to it, then later it becomes the psychology side to it, which I guess is nice. It gives you the idea that there's 2 sides to this beast thing. It's not just you transform and gain claws. You transform and gain claws, but there's also there's an inner beast, like an actual manifestation of a rage or a beast inside you that also comes out to play, rather than just you being a werewolf or whatever.
I'm not really sure I feel that the 10th level feature delivers on that for me. I don't really feel like it doesn't give me a strong like identity of that's like what it's doing.
It's the curse part. It definitely leans far into the lycanthropic side of it, right? Of being a curse.
Sure, yeah.
Call of the Hunt is a lot more.
That does psychic damage. I don't know.
Call of the Hunt is a lot more of that, where it's like you're in a rage and in a beast buffs your allies.
Lets everyone else attack recklessly. Yeah. I do like that. Yeah, I think that works well.
Yeah, it's this one I like. I like the Infectious Fury, but it definitely leans more towards the lycanthropic side. You could always say this is like they're feared or they're confused. I don't know. The one where it like forces them to hit someone else, that's a bit weird. Like if I scratch you with a claw or bit you or something, you're just like, just hit your friend. Like,
sure. I don't know. It's been really strange that the psychic damage on top of it. I agree that I think it is good that they not only address the physical side of it, that they also address the like mental state of being a wild animal.
Yeah.
But I don't really feel like that 10th level feature, the actual mechanical effects, really do what they don't speak to that to me.
Yeah, I could probably have a think about it and maybe come up with something. Obviously, we're kind of speaking. We have an idea of what we want to say, but we're kind of speaking off the cuff, and I can't really think straight away like how I would play that in my own Barbarian. But yeah, I like Path of the Beast. I think it's quite good. I think it's a good addition, and I think it definitely separates itself from Totem, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
despite the fact they both have animal involvement, one is just.
They are both like supposed to be animal related. Yeah, it does. It definitely separates itself from that. Yeah. Sure, mechanically at least it does, and I guess also thematically as well. I think as well. Don't forget a weapon because you will run out of rages.
Yes,
and if you don't have a weapon, you cannot use your natural weapons. So.
Yes. But yeah, I guess you'll carry one around anyway because you get one for free just
Yeah,
like existing.
you will carry one.
But I think is that everything we wanted to cover? I think that's
I
everything.
think that's everything I wanted to cover.
I think next time we'll be doing the monk, the way the mercy monk.
Do you want to do the monk next? The monk.
It's next. It's next. It's next on the list.
It's next on the list.
It's alphabetically.
It's also the one I'm the least interested in as well.
Yeah,
I like the paladin one.
Yeah. Well, we'll be doing both anyway, right? So they will be coming out at some point when we record them. But
and then we'll also do the genie as well.
Yeah. Oh yes, the lamp lock we'll do as well.
Lamp lock.
And there might be other videos as well with this series. I have a few ideas of stuff I want to talk to Chad about, just kind of not related to UA. Whether Chad actually gives a shit is entirely a different matter. But thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, any thoughts yourselves on the
maybe
flavor,
we missed something like really important.
We missed something, or you disagree or agree or whatever, please leave a comment. Maybe we'll do if we actually get comments, we'll do a video replying to some of them as well. We'll do Path of the Beast, then Path of the Beast revisited with ideas from wherever the comments come from.
Maybe we'll review our previous video. We'll have that on the background and we'll talk over it.
And then we do another one, it just becomes mental. Anyway,
I guess one last thing that I can mention off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't work with a monk multi-class because these natural weapons don't count as monk weapons, which I think is a lot of people are confused about. I'm not sure if it ever says anywhere explicitly, but it's been said in sage advice that you can't use natural weapons by default as monk weapons. So a Minotaur can't use its horns. And you cannot use your tail as a D12 unarmed strike, unfortunately.
That would be pretty cool. All right.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.